Hello, BUS 1444 students, document production. I'm going to give you an overview on how to start your unit lesson in GDP. An overview to how to start your unit lesson in GDP, Unit 5, Lessons 21 through 25. Why? Because this scenario is going to help you be successful throughout the whole course. So just remember, every unit has 5 lessons in it. Every unit has 5 lessons. We will be starting with your word processing and email, and it's lessons 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. And that's per your syllabus. It tells you to read your information out of your grade college keyboarding. It tells you to complete your word processing and email, pages 74 to 86. Microsoft Word 2019 is the software that you need, but however 365. And read in your manual 131 through 38. View your lectures, and those are the little snippet videos that teaches you how to do certain things. And when I say certain things, it could be, say, we're working with tables this time, or we're working with emails, or we're working with a business format letter. So read and do your videos. When it talks about your skill building can be warm-up. Skill building can be actually just practicing different things per the book, which we will show you that information as well too. And then also it tells you are going to, in this 21 through 25, you would complete the following. You got some warm-ups 21 through 25. You got some skill buildings 21 through 25. You got language arts lesson 21, 23, and 25. Then you have your practice documents for 21, and that's steps 1 through 7. You got practice documents 22, 1 through 5. You got practice documents 23, 1 through 4, and practice documents 24, 1 through 7. And then with that, you will do lesson 25 and complete the following documents: correspondence 25-1 and correspondence 25-2. Remember to do your discussion boards. Your initial post should be on Wednesday. Why? That gives everybody an opportunity to put their first post out, and you need to respond to 2 posts. You need to respond to 2 posts and so forth by Sunday. And with that said, if you got any questions, you can always email, you can always call, we can always do a virtual session and so forth. And you can also post things in the My Learning Journal as well too. So now that is your Unit 5 that I'm going to go over, and this process will be duplicated every time, even when you get to Unit 6. That's lesson 26 through 30. Even when you get to Unit 7, that's 31 through 35. So let's get started. So this is the format and how it comes up your screen. You have lessons, you have skill buildings, you have maps. That's your misalignment prescription. That's your time writing, language art, and that's your word manual, where all of your practice information and your instructions will come from. And then is my GDP. So I'm going to show you lessons. You got a part 1 that covers Unit 1 all the way to Unit 4. Even it has the test, but will you start here? No, you will not start here. This is your part 2, and it's Unit 5, 6, 7, 8. And it starts with lesson 21 and it goes all the way to 40. And this is your test 2 information. This is your test 2. So this is your format each time. Part 3, it has Unit 9, 10, 11, 12. It starts with lesson 41 and goes all the way to 60. And that's your part 3. And that being said, that's your exam for part 3. And it will always come in 2 parts. All of your exam is in 2 parts. You will have an objective and a production. Objective means that it will be 50 questions that include true, false, fill in the blanks, and so forth. And your production, you will always have a time writing that you will do, and you will have to produce 3 documents. 3 documents with 3 documents with 5 errors or less to get credit. 3 documents, 5 errors or less to get credit. Here's your part 4. Same format, Unit 13, 14, 15, 16, from Lesson 61 all the way to 80, and that's the exam for Part 4. Part 5, Unit 17, all the way to 20. And it starts with Lesson 81 all the way to 100, and then you, with your Test 5, and your Part 6, and that is Unit 21, 22, 23, 24. And that is with your Test 6. That's with your Test 6. So when I look at my skill building, it is still a part of the lessons. It is still a part of the lessons. So remember that the maps is still a part of the lessons. The time writings are still a part of the lesson. The language arts is still a part of the lesson. So all of that is built in the lesson, but you can individually go and look at information and practice at your leisure and so forth if you need to. You can practice at your leisure if you need to. That's your MAPS prescription. And it gives you a pretest and so forth. Okay, then you have your time writing. So you have a 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, and others. That's your others. So when you click on them, you will see supplementary, and you will have to go through this when it gets towards the end of the semester. So this is your supplementary time writings where you will do some of these. This is your language arts, which it talks about commas, apostrophes, punctuation, semicolons, and so forth. And here is the word manual. This is your practice. This is your practice manual that's built inside the software. And that being said, we will have practice documents on certain ones, and therefore they will be listed. Like we have practice documents for 21, lesson 22, 23, and 24. So your goal is to read the information. Once you read the information, but your information to complete the assignments, is built in the thick blue boxes. It's built in the thick blue boxes, and there's 7 steps of them, and it tells you what documents that you are going to be using, and then it walks you through the steps. And then you will go and say, hey, we got some more commands, and the more commands, you read the information, and here's the practice information. Here's the practice information 1 through 6. And then it goes for more information talking about your mini toolbar and shortcuts. There's your practice information 1 through 3. And it still says keep your document open and keep reading. Talks about the keyboard. And with that being said, you got steps 4 of 7. You got 3 instructions. That's what you're to do. Your quick access toolbar has information, and then you're to do the steps 5 of 7, and it has 7 different steps that you're to follow the information using the documents that you will download from your lessons. It will guide you through, but this is the information and the steps for your practice documents. And then it says keep your document open, so it talks about file and open and so forth. And here's the information 21. This is the 6th step, and it has 3 different steps, and you are to read the information and do the steps within your document. And with that being said, the last one, you have lesson 21, 7 of 7. You only have 3 instructions. As this says, don't save. But your goal is to always save. Especially your practice documents, because you will be uploading your practice documents into Blackboard. Only the practice documents you will be uploading into Blackboard. Any other document, it will stay and or be uploaded into GDP, which is Gregg College Keyboarding Document Processing. That's what GDP stands for. And here is your information concerning your grades. My GDP. So it gives you all the time that you've spent. This is my total time that I have spent doing GDP. It says, what's the most recent thing that I did today? Okay, it gives me a date. It gives me the time. It gives me the actual document that I did do, the total time, and it gives me a score. it gives me a score. So most of the time you should get a score. Sometimes you may get a 0 because why? If it's a 0, because you have more than 5 errors. You have more than 5 errors. If your time writings are not acceptable, it will definitely give you a 0 with that. But don't be discouraged because why? Work on accuracy, your speed will come. So here's the time writing that I did, and this is the time writing the placement test. I did it 3 times, and I end up scoring. Click on the drop down menu. I earned 42 errors, but I had 12 errors. But with that being said, I did the attempts 5 different times. So look at the different attempts. I had 44 and 5 and so forth. So you can click on detail and it will show you a little bit of the information of what you have typed and so forth. So that's your time writings, and with your skill building, it will give you information as well too if it's graded. Okay, here's the skill building. That's the practice documents. It says, hey, I had 1 attempt. I spent 16 minutes doing that. The basic parts of the email. Okay, I had the same time and so forth. But this is the physical document. I'm going back to it because how will you know it's a document? For one, it says, look at my attempts. I did this document 44 different times. I spent 5 minutes and 45 seconds on it, and I did it on the 18th of this year at 9:25. And here's the detail. So when I click on the detail, it gives me a dialog box that comes up with my 44th attempt, and it says, hey, this is what I spent on it, 345. I had 3 errors, and I had no formatting errors. So when you see the color black, that being said, it's correct. It is correct. When you see the color blue, it says, hey, Cynthia, you inserted something. That you shouldn't have. So let me see if I see a blue. No blue. Okay, if it's something green means that I omitted something out of the document. And misstrokes in red, misstroke could mean this is a comma, this is a space, transposing and so forth. So in this document that I did do, I had some errors. I had too many spaces for after recipient. I end up having spellings with an S and so forth. And then, of course, Edward, I put a K instead of a D. And I can physically click View in Word and or print, and it will open up the document, and then you can make your changes. So I click it open, View in Word. So when it comes down, okay, so my Word opens up, I enable it, and then I can go and make my changes. So let's go through my unit 21 and give you an example and how the information will be flowing. Okay, I'm going to close this up. And this is the overview and how to get started. 21 through 25, part 2, and I'm going to start at unit 5, and that's the information. 21 is the orientation of Microsoft Word, and 22 is nothing more than a word processing for B, orientation for 23 lesson, word processing C, orientation to word processing D, and then you have the email information. So all I'm gonna do is pan through. I can go previous and I can go next. So the question says, hey, if you have a green check mark, that means you're finished with that section. If you have a triangle with black and it's yellow around it, that means, hey, I did part of the information in it. And with that being said, all of the information you will not be responsible for, but you will be responsible for a great majority of it. But most of the time you will have a yellow triangle because you will do certain things and other things that you do not need to produce. So I'm panning through. It gives me the goals, and it says demonstrate and improve speed and accuracy while typing, demonstrate acceptable language art skills in commas, usage and sentence structure, and correctly use the word manual and basic word features. Says click an exercise in the menu to the left to open it and begin your work, or click next to go to the first exercise of this lesson. So I'm clicking next. So my information says preference, word wrap, leave word wrap on. That means you continuously type, and let it word wrap itself around at the end of the paragraph. Your instruction says type each line one time. Press enter at the end of each line, and then says click the done button to submit your work. So where do you find the information to type at? Look at your bottom. It says Part 2, Unit 5, Lesson 21 through 25, Lesson 21, page 15, lines 1 through 3. So you will go to your page 75 in your book, and you're going to type up the information in your book. So I'm going to that area, and I'm typing the information per the book. Okay. All right. So, man. So, see, that lets you know I was typing the wrong information. I was on 83 instead of 75. Alrighty. So, I'll go back so you can get an idea. So, let's see if it goes back. Okay, I can take it off. Alrighty. Some of them you can take off, and other ones you cannot take off. It will just grade you as is. This one just happens to be one that you can take off. Okay, so now I'm just going to press done. Okay, so now it comes up with your MAPS prescription, and this is still on that same page. It's going to actually test you and say, hey, Cynthia, what you could be working on to improve your typing skills. So I've already taken my tests and so forth. And how do I know? Because it says, hey, you need to be working on your alphabet keys. You had 2 errors. We didn't do no numbers. You non-printing characters was good. You omitted or inserted some information. You had 2 of those errors. So my prescription, it says my question mark keys was good. My F keys and semicolon. Those are the hands that I need to be working on. This is your MAPS prescription. It will give you an exam and take it. And so I say to you, work on accuracies. Don't work on speed, because with this portion, make sure you start out slow and sure, because if you start out high, you're going to continue to do this section until you exceed your goal or lower your goal. exceeded or lowered. So the good thing is to just keep it moderate and keep it slow. Why? So you can work on accuracy. So I'm going to give you a preview on how it does. It says your speed for the progressive practice alphabets has already been established because I've taken it before. You guys will take it and you will get your format as well too. You will begin at this point where you left off the last time. So this is the 21C, and down to the bottom it says part 2, Unit 5, Lesson 21 through 25, Lesson 21, and page 75. The word wrap is on. The error correction is off. That being said, you won't be able to go back. It says attempt. I did it 41 times, and my speed is just 18 words per minute. Why? Because the goal is accuracy, accuracy, accuracy. And it gives you the instructions, so make sure you read over your instructions, okay? So always tab. That open is tab. So if you start out the word open, it's going to give you an error and it's going to be in red. So you start out tab, open, and start to type. I press tab again. So I didn't backspace because why? It still will mark it wrong anyway. Okay, so now I can continue with this exercise or I can proceed on. I only had one error, so I'm going to proceed on. But if you have more than your fair share, it's going to keep you there. So I can go on. So now your commas and your sentence structure. This is your language arts. This is your language arts. It says these language arts tutorial provide graphics, explanations of rules, examples, and practice sentences. Read and work through each of your rules tutorial. Click on continue button, advance to your next screen. So the rule says use commas before and after a name, use indirect address. Dolly, do I need to buy a new computer system? Dolly is the person being addressed. The individual's name requires commas to set it apart from the rest of the sentence. Here's the next one. We are pleased to let you know, Jerry, comma before and after, that you have been selected for the position. Jerry is the person being addressed. The individual name requires commas to set it apart from the rest of the sentence. I hope you know how much we miss you, comma, Bonnie. Bonnie is the person being addressed. The individual's name requires commas to set it apart from the rest of the sentence. So I can press continue. So now here's the rule. Use the commas before and after a name using a direct address. Edit the sentence to insert commas by clicking the space where a comma is needed. If you make a mistake, click the inserted comma to remove it. When the sentence is correct, click done. If the sentence does not require editing, click done. So it says Darlene. I'm going to put comma, press comma with my mouse. We appreciate all that you've done for the project. So if I take it out, it'll go away. But if I click it, it goes. And I'm pressing done. Hey, nicely done. This is correct. Darlene is the person being addressed. And the individual names requires commas to set it apart from the rest of the sentence. Here's the next one. It still says the rule is use commas before and after a name, use in a direct address. Edit the sentence to insert the comma by clicking the space where a comma is needed. If you make a mistake, click the insert comma to remove it. When the sentence is correct, click done. If the sentence does not requires editing, click done. Thank you, Tony, comma, before and after, for bringing humor to the situation. Press done. Good work. The answer is correct. Tony is the person being addressed. The individual's name requires commas to set it apart from the rest of the sentence. Okay, then it says use the commas before and after a name used in the direct address. Here's the sentence. We are happy to inform you, Jim, comma, before and after, that you have received the highest graduation. I'm going to click done. All right. The answer is correct. Jim is the person being addressed. The individual names requires commas to set it apart from the rest of the sentence. Click OK. Now here's the rule again. Use commas before and after a name. Use in a direct address. Amy. Here's the sentence. Amy, comma, when did you pass the Series 7 exam? And I press done. Nicely done. The answer is correct. Amy is the person being addressed. The individual names requires commas to set it apart from the rest of the sentence. Now it goes into commas and sentences once again. Here's the information you will cover. Rule: avoid sentence fragments. Here's the rule, and here's the sentence fragment. Complete sentences. She has a wonderful singing voice. Sentence fragment: but has not been discovered yet. The sentence fragment, but has not been discovered yet, is not a complete sentence because it does not contain a subject. Complete sentence: we are losing customers quickly. Sentence fragment: but have not reviewed why. The sentence fragment, but have not reviewed why, is not a complete sentence because it does not contain a subject. Okay, and we are still looking at the bottom, so you know you're working on your commas and your sentences. Part 2, Unit 5, Lesson 21 through 25, Lesson 21, page 75, lines 4 through 17. Avoid sentence fragments. Select the statement that is written correctly. Wasting employees' time during deadline is poor executive management. Wasting employees' time during deadlines is poor executive management. So I'm going to choose number 1 because it is poor executive. Nicely done. The answer is correct. The sentence fragment is poorly executive management is not a complete sentence because it does not contain a subject and a predicate. Here's the statement. Avoid sentence fragments again. The holiday season can be the happiest or the saddest of times. The holiday season, period, can be the happiest or saddest of times. I'm choosing the first one. Good work. The answer is correct. The sentence fragment can be the happiest or saddest of time. It's not a complete sentence because it does not contain a subject and a predicate. Avoid sentence fragment. Here's the sentence. Her keyboarding class was helpful in business, period, and in the chat room. Her keyboarding skills was helpful in business and in the chat room. I'm choosing the second one. All right. The answer is correct. The sentence fragment and in the chat room is not a complete sentence because it does not contain a subject and a predicate. I'm choosing because of boring, self-indulging speeches, the holiday luncheon was a disaster. Because of the boring, self-indulging speeches, the holiday luncheon was a disaster. I'm choosing the second one. All right, nice work. That's correct. Okay, here's another one. Aimlessly and with a heavy heart, she wandered through the Elysian fields. Aimlessly and with a heavy heart, she wandered through the Elysian fields. So I'm going to choose the first one. And it says, good work. The answer is correct. The sentence fragment, aimlessly with a heavy heart, is not a complete sentence because it does not contain a subject and a predicate. Okay, then it goes on to your commas, sentences, and it's going to say avoid run-on sentences. Run-on sentences. So you will go through that. Read what the run-on sentences is. Not a run-on sentences. What a run-on sentences is. Not a run-on sentences. And you will go through them same formats that I did with the commas. You will go through the same format that I did with the sentence fragments and so forth. So when I look over here, I've done the orientation for the warm-up. I did my maps. I did my progressive practice. I've done my commas and sentences and so forth. So I'm going to progress on. And once you get to the end of this run on, I'm going to just give you the information. I'm choosing flowering gardens provides natural beauty. Horticulture can be a family hobby. Choosing that one. Oh, see, it says the answer is correct because it's 2 independent clauses. See, that's good. So that lets you know how it works if you choose the incorrect one. The answer is incorrect. A run-on sentence is 2 independent clauses that runs together without punctuation between them and so forth. Study the solution and then continue. Okay. So it gives us another one. So I look at it. So the sentence is the election may be held by the judicial system. Individual votes may not count. So I'll choose the second one because it has a semicolon between it. Okay, it says good work. The answer is correct. The run-on sentence is 2 independent clauses that run together without any punctuation between them or with a comma between them. Run-on sentences, it says in voice, so select a statement that is written correctly. So if I had to choose, it says our shopping adventure could have been better. Mother lost her toe in a freak car accident. I'm going to choose this one. All right, the answer is correct. Okay, go to the next one. Choose the best and the most correct sentences. Okay, Mrs. Turningbaum is the new senator. She will begin her term immediately. I'm choosing the first one. That's correct. Nicely done. Okay, so with that being said, after you've done all your fragments, your run-ons, and your commas, you're to go through this document and put in commas where they need to, make them complete sentences and so forth, and then you will check your information. So if you will say if Sean needs a comma and so forth, then you will click where something needs to be. If it doesn't, then you say, it doesn't need to be there. So you're to go through and put commas where they need to be, and or say, okay, everything is correct. You press done. Then it will check it from that point. So that's going to be what you guys will do from there. So I'm going to progress on and go to my practice documents. I'm going to go to my practice documents. So make sure you read the information here. Why it's very important, because skimming over it, you will learn just a snippet, but reading the information through and through is going to get you to success even more. So it says getting started with your orientation, word processing A. This is your practice documents. Practice documents will be downloaded, and you will have a Microsoft Word document that you will work on. But the instructions is going to come from this Word manual and reference manual. The information I went over a few back in those thick blue boxes, the instructions are there for these downloaded documents here that you are going to make changes to. Now on this exercise, you will do very little as far as typing, but you will be going through a process. With that said, you are still to save the documents. You are still to save the documents and upload them in Blackboard. You are still to save the documents and upload them in Blackboard. So here's the information. Now that your keyboarding skills are well established, begin working on word processing skills. Your Gregg College Keyboarding and Document Processing Manual for your Microsoft Word manual provides instructions on the feature of words to be learned in each lesson with hands-on practice exercise that you will complete in the software. See the Appendix A GDP Word settings in the Word manual for details on word options that should be manually set or verified when using Word and GDP. So if you have to set them, that's fine. But most of the time, once you open the software and open the actual downloaded document, it actually is, everything is already set for you. Everything is already set. So in your lessons 21 through 24, Word manual, you will complete a series of orientation lessons that includes hands-on unscored practice documents. So it's going to be unscored in GDP online, but it will be scored in Blackboard once you upload the documents. It will be unscored in GDP, but it will be scored in Blackboard once you upload these documents. Open your manual for getting started and read the related information. Then open a lesson 21 orientation A and read the related information. When you see the box practice section, complete a hands-on practice exercise. In this lesson, orientation, word processing A, you will become familiar with word interface and learn how to choose command from the ribbon, from the mini toolbar, the shortcut menu, from the keyboarding, or from the quick access toolbar. Open a file, quit Word, and return to GDP. Download your resources to use during the practice exercise. On page 11 of your Word manual, you are asked to open the file named 21, Practice 21. First, you must save the file to a location where you can open it later. Navigate to the location where you want to save the file and save it. This is a downloaded document you will. It says start your practice exercise. Study getting started with your lesson 21 in your Word manual. Then complete this exercise as directed in the Word manual. Click the Start Word button and then click the Open button in the dialog box. On a blank document, unnamed file in Word, follow the steps to complete the practice. So these are the two documents that we're working with. Your now says Part 2, Unit 5, Lesson 21 through 25, Lesson 21, page 76. So that's actually in your big book. But when you see a green arrow in your big book, it's telling you to go to your Word manual. It's telling you to go to your Word manual. And where's your Word manual located at? This is your Word manual. You can click that and go to 21. That's your Word manual. That's your Word manual with the instructions. So I go back to the lesson. So if I click on Appendix A, GDP, Word settings, it takes me right in the Word manual. And it is taking me with information that you need to learn about options. So I go back, and if I click on getting started, clicking on these links, so it takes you right to getting started at the beginning of this Word manual and reference manual, and you can read the information, and it tells you the different things. Pay attention. Help, your tips, your hands-on, downloading files, go to your textbook, refer to. These are your little icons and what this means. L stands for lesson, R stands for your reference manual, WM stands for Word manual, and GDP stands for Greg document processing. Okay, then you have other information that you can sit through and read as well too. So I can click back on lessons once again, and then I can click on lessons 21 orientation. That's where we're at right now. Okay, and I click on that, and that's my getting started. And this is the information I went through much earlier, and it tells you, hey, how to get started with Microsoft Word GDP. It gives you reference information and so forth. And then this is the information that you are supposed to be completing with those documents that I'm going to go back and get to show you, to go through just a snippet of it so you'll get a good idea. So I go back to my lessons once again, and here's the document I need to start with. I'm going to download this document. This is going to be named Practice 21. I download that document. Okay. I open it up and it tells me it has information in it. It says Practice 21. You see the number 6 and it's got dot, period, DOCX. That being said, I've downloaded this document 7 times. I've downloaded this document 7 times. Well, you said it's a 6 up there. Yes, it is a 6, but it starts out as saying Practice 21. That's the number 1. Then it starts counting every time you download the document. Then it starts counting every time you load the document. Using this software, you should always use the most recent document that you downloaded. Do not go back and use your number 1, your 2, your 3, or 4. Do not go back and use your number 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Why? Because every time you download from a third-party system, and this is a third-party system, it gives it a serial number. And you have to use the most latest and greatest serial number once you start using this and upload it into GDP and upload this into Blackboard. So with that being said, I'm just going to enable it. Enable the document. I have that one. That's my practice. I'm going to officially just save the document in my handy dandy little area where I usually save all my information. I usually put my initials. I find my folder where I save all my information and so forth. So maybe you guys should do that. Have an opportunity to find your information faster, better, quicker. Okay, so I'm going to my software folder and I'm going to GDP online, and I got a document called CHAL. So I'm saving that document, and then it converts it to the most current format, the newest format, and so forth. Okay, so I have that one. I close this one up. Okay, then I'm just going to go and get my other document. It says click to start work. So I'm going to click it. It comes open. All right, so I'm going in this. I've downloaded document 1 7 times, but it's actually 8. It's actually 8. I will enable it. I will keep it as document 1, and then I will save it in my handy dandy area, and I will always put my initials behind it. Find my folder where I keep all of my information and so forth. And we will complete the information. Okay, I'm going to my folder, software folder, and I'm going to my GDP online and the document area. Okay, so it converts it to the new one. So I have 2 documents open. How do you know that? Because why? I can do a split screen and I can get both of the documents up at the same time. This is my practice 21. Downloaded 6 times, and this is my document 1 downloaded 7 times. So I'm gonna minimize both of them, and then I'm gonna go to the reference manual to complete the exercise for my 21 practice document. So make sure you read your information. Make sure you read by opening a file. Make sure you read the information about how to protect the file, the read-only file, the compatibility file, and so forth. Read that information. It's very helpful. It's going to get you to success. And just always remember, we do have virtual sessions. So look on Blackboard and see when the time is. And we usually can come in and ask questions. I'll demonstrate and we will go from there. Okay, so here's the information that I will be doing. It says from GDP Lesson 21E, click to start, download, and open document 1. That's the blank document, unnamed, and we're to follow the steps. It says in the future practice exercise, GDP will typically launch Word and open a document with an assigned name, content in the place. Study the illustration and description of each feature and identify each feature on your screen. So it's going to tell you per the document open. So it's going to talk about tabs and ribbons and navigation and quick access toolbar, and then your title bar to tell me you share your ribbon options. It's going to say the ruler. It's going to say your groups versus your dialog box launcher, insert, and your vertical bar. We have your status bar, vertical page position, spelling and grammar, view button, slider, and that's the information that's down here. It gives you the definition of what the quick access toolbar is versus the toolbar. The tell me is for searching. The ribbon displays options to auto hide the ribbon. And then it talks about your tab and your groups and so forth. And then it goes from ribbon to navigation pane to ruler, dialog box, launcher, your insert point, mouse pointer, and then your scroll bar and your box and your status. Vertical page position, spelling and grammar, and so forth. So zoom, slider, and keep the document open to continue reading. So I'm just going to show you a brief few things. Okay, here's my document 1. I'm going to maximize it so you can see it better. Okay, I'm going to keep it open. So here is file. Okay, from home to insert, design, layout, reference, mailings, review, view, drawing, helps. I have a touch screen, so that's why you see that draw, help, speak. I can actually speak to this particular software that I've turned it on for dictation, and Nitro that I could create PDF printable data files and so forth. And quick access toolbars here, quick access toolbar, and that's your quick access toolbar that's showing you this is your dialog box launcher. Every one of these that has little arrows, that means it's an extra little dialog box that comes out. So I'm going to click on the font, and then you will have font style, size, font color, underline styles, underline color. You got effects. It'll give you a preview. So once you start making changes, you can see how it gives you a preview in those areas and so forth. You have your automatic colors that you can put in. You can do your underlines, and you can do more colors, and you can set it as default, or you can just do it for the document. You got text effects, and with text effects it goes into no fill, solid fill, gradient, and that means you can move your percentages back and forth. And you got text, outline, no line, solid line, and gradient lines, and it gives you variations. So make sure you read your information. It's going to be very beneficial. So when I right click in my status bar, look at all the formats of information you can change. Format your page number, section, page number, vertical page position. This is actually where that cursor is at. Vertical page position. Most of your documents will always start at 2 inches. Most of your documents, like your letters, like your memos, that will start at 2 inches. Your academic reporting and so forth. So remember, your vertical page position, it will stay at 2 inches, even though that's where your cursor is at. And make sure it's checked. Make sure, because you take it off, it goes away. It's at the bottom, but when you click it back, the information comes down in your status bar. You got lines, columns, you got word count, characters, spelling and grammar, language arts, labels, signature, information management policy, permissions, track changes, text prediction, cap, overtype, selection mode, macros. Macros is recording information, programming, accessibility checker to say, hey, if somebody is having eye trouble and so forth, can they read the document efficiently? Upload status, document updates, and so forth. All of that. This is my cursor, but this is a P. I call it a backwards P. I always type with my show hide on. It's called show hide because it shows everything in your document. It shows everything in your document. Where is it located at? In your paragraph. So when I turn this off, the P, backwards P, goes away, but it's still your show hide. Click it, and you see all your spaces. You see all your returns, hard return. This is a return when you see a backwards P. Okay, that's a return. When you see Control Enter, that's a soft return. When you see these little dots, that means you have added spaces and so forth. So that's your backwards P of information, just giving you an overview of some of the information that we just went over. So I go back, keeping my document open, and continue reading. So now it's going to talk about from the ribbon, about your bold, italicize, and more colors, features, and then it says your increase and decrease and live preview, auto hide the ribbon, tabs, and so forth. But this is the instructions it wants you to do. This is the instructions it wants you to do. So I'm going to reduce that, and I'm going to do this as a 2 screen. And so you can always hit the window on the bottom of your keyboard. It looks like a window, and you can hit your left or your right arrow, and then you can do 2 screens all at once. You can do 2 screens all at once. Here's the information from your segment 21, 2 of 7. From the ribbon, click your home. I'm clicking the home tab. From your quick access toolbar, this is my quick access toolbar, which I've chosen to put it underneath. You can put yours to the top and so forth, but I chosen to put it underneath. Okay, then it says you can look at your screen tips, undo typing, repeat typing, save. Number 3, home tab, font group, click your dialog box launcher. Font tab, this is the dialog box launcher. And then of course look at all the information, font style, size, effects, and text effects, and so forth. And then it tells you to cancel. It says now click each tab on the ribbon and note the group's name. Okay, so this is home and insert and design, but it says once you do that, click them on, you can see the different information, but you can see that better on your screen, but this is still at a double screen. Home tab, font group, no. 4, note the commands in the font. We did that. Number 5, click the tab on the ribbon, note the groups for each tab. Okay, so this is your tab. These are your groups, and groups are clipboard, fonts, paragraphs, styles, editing. I have voice with dictation, sensitivity, and so forth. And then it says you can double click on the home and it collapses it, and then double click it back and it opens it up. Okay, then it says keep the document open and continue reading. So now it's talking about your mini toolbar. So with it talking about your mini toolbar, it's going to give you some steps. So make sure you read over it. So here it says type your first name. So I'm going to take all this off and I'm going to type in my first name, Cynthia, and double click it. So I double click it. Okay, and note the mini toolbar comes up and it displays immediately after you double click it. Deselect the text and it goes away. And it says right click, and then you have 2 mini toolbar comes up where it's talking about fonts and paragraph versus your actual bold, styles, new comments, and so forth. Okay, it says keep this document open and continue reading. So now it talks about keyboard. Make sure you read over the information about keyboard. Control C, that means you can copy things, and that's a Control C keyboard. It says from your ribbon, click on home. Click on home. From the font group, point to bold. Okay, I'm going to point to bold. From there, you see the screen tip, Control B. From the font group, you click on your italicize, and it's got Control I. And it says what? Keep the document open and continue reading. Okay. So it talks about your quick access toolbar. Quick access toolbar is QAT, Q-A-T, and it gives you other information where you can add different things. And so here I click my Control quick access toolbar, and here's where you can do new, open, save, quick print, and so forth. Okay, and that's that feature, your quack. So now 21, 5 of 7, it says go to your home tab, click on your ribbon, click on your quick access toolbar, and then says undo. I'm using my undo so my name goes back, and then I repeat and my name comes back, and that's my number 2. Number 3, it says click the list arrow to the right of the quick access toolbar and do your quick print. This is my quick print. Okay, so if I had to do my drop down so you can see that, you can take it off and then you can put it back on. That's what they're referring to. Click the list arrow to the right of the quick access toolbar and uncheck it, and note that the quick access quick print is removed. Number 5, from the home font group, you right click bold. So here, font group, right click your bold, and then you can add it, but it's already added. Okay, then it says number 6, quick access toolbar. You can remove it and it goes away. Number 7 says keep the document open, but go to your GDP 21E screen to download your practice 21 to complete the second part of the exercise. So I'm just going to physically save this and minimize, and I'm going to bring up my second document that it was talking about, my practice 21. Move it over. Okay, so get a 2 screen. Okay, so let me get the 2 screen once again. Okay, so there's my 2 screen. So I'm going to learn about files and open. So make sure you read that information. So it says in this future practice, GDP will typically launch the Word and automatically open this document and assign your name and content and so forth. Here's my instructions. I have my GDP lesson 21E open. I got my downloaded file. I got it enabled. Number 2, note the title bar is 21. Okay, but I got 21 and 6, but it's still 21. Okay, says note that it's open. It says the title bar also is in compatibility mode, but I've saved my document already. You do not have to be concerned with the mode until lesson 103. Number 3, it says note the 2 Word documents are now open simultaneously and unnamed blank document in 21. Keep both of the documents open and continue reading. It talks about quit, how to quit your document. You can go to file and close, or you can go to your X and close it. So the practice exercise is not uploaded in GDP. It's not uploaded in GDP. It is uploaded in Blackboard. It's uploaded in Blackboard in the current learning unit that's open. Consult with your instructor regarding saving or submitting your completed practice files outside of GDP. It says close all the documents. Word hint, close button in the upper right hand corner. If you're prompted to save, it say don't save. Remember, always save, always save, always save. So I've saved, and then I can make sure I can return to GDP. Then it says in your Word practice document, go to the book, go to the textbook. So that's your information and how to complete that whole 21, and that format that I just did for all of 21, you're going to use that for lesson 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and so forth. That's your whole format and how to complete exercise within GDP. And the goal is always to get 5 or less errors. So I'll go back to my lessons, and I will go and look at my 22, everything I've done in 22 21 is complete. So then I can advance on to 22. And 22 is that same format. It gives you goals, correctly use your basic word features, and so forth. Okay, so hopefully all is well. If you got any questions, come to the Virtue and maybe we can answer them effectively and efficiently for you. Be well and have a good day.